The Global March to Gaza was an attempt by many activists from all over the world to break the crippling siege on the Palestinian people. They initially planned to meet in Egypt and march to Rafah, where they would protest the Zionist entity. Unfortunately, before they could get there, they were stopped by the Egyptian and Libyan authorities. To share his story from his time in Egypt, I'm joined today by one of those many activists, Omar Anas, also known as London-based rapper WorkRate. Please enjoy. Omar, thank you for joining us today.
Jazakallah khair for having me. Thank you.
So you went all the way to Egypt to join the Break the Siege convoy.
Yes, that's correct.
I mean, we'll just start from the beginning. We'll go through the whole process, let's go to the end, and then how you ended up having to leave. But
Let's do it.
from the beginning, why did you decide to get on a flight and go to Cairo?
Obviously, I'm Palestinian. My mother's Palestinian, my dad's Algerian, so I'm half Palestinian, my heritage, and obviously I'm a Palestinian activist. I fight for the human rights of the Palestinians against the occupation and the apartheid and the live stream genocide that's going on right now, of course. So everybody wants to do more for Gaza. Everybody craves to do more for Gaza when they see what they see on their phones. Without being too graphic, we all know what's happening. So when I saw that as an opportunity to be able to do something. So I signed up, and by the will of God, I was able to join the march.
So you booked your tickets and then you headed to Cairo. What was that process like, getting to Cairo and all that?
So I saw it first online, Global March to Gaza. And the one I first saw was the one in North Africa, the one that was leaving from Tunisia. So I saw this video of a guy masked up online and like some good editing, and they was just basically speaking in Arabic saying, the time has come, on this specific date, we're going to march, we're going to walk by car, and we're going to walk and we're going to do this, going from Tunisia to, I think, Libya, basically skipping through different countries, all the countries of North Africa, then going into Egypt and going all the way to Rafah. And that video was going viral. So once I saw that, I liked the video and I dropped them a follow because I was interested. And then they've ended up DMing me like, oh my God, we're big fans, we love what you do, whatever. So I said, look, I want to come. And they said, yeah, of course, like, just book your stuff and we'll host you very well. I said, okay, perfect. And then that was that. So I thought it was on July the 9th. Then a day later, I've heard about the Global March to Gaza from Egypt. So basically march to Rafah from within Egypt. And that was on June the 12th. So I've applied for that. And then I've got the dates mixed up. Turns out that one on June the 9th was supposed to, wasn't July the 9th, it was June the 9th. And was supposed to meet this one in Egypt on June the 12th, which is the one I ended up signing up to. So they ask you some questions before, because you can't just sign up, they have to vet you. You say your name, your age, your address, where you're from, what group you're from, whether it's PFB, MAB, FOA, PSC, you know. So you say where you're from, who you're from, whatever. And then they respond to you in 24 hours and tell you whether you've been accepted or not. So I remember I signed up and then I just prayed my istikhara and I was just waiting patiently, hoping that they do accept me. And I kind of just had some work here to do. So I kind of sorted that out, sorted dates out. Okay, I'm going to be gone for that long, whatever. Okay, cool. Everything's sorted. Yeah, it's possible. Even if it wasn't possible, I was going to go. And then, they accepted within 24 hours. And it was a very good feeling. It was a very good feeling. It was as if God had answered my prayers to be able to at least do something proactive for Palestine.
Were you originally meant to go to the Tunisia push? So you were meant to initially go to Tunisia and then drive with them to Egypt.
That was initially what was supposed to be the case.
Right, but it's good that you went straight to Cairo because they got stopped before they got to Egypt.
Yeah, they made it through a couple of borders until they got to Libya, and each border they was making it through, so much of them was
because it started from Morocco as well.
From Morocco, right?
Yeah,
and a lot of them didn't have passports, visas. All they had was humanity. And unfortunately, that's not enough to get you through borders. So they was getting arrested and taken, a lot of them, through different borders. And then they got to Libya. Western Libya, funnily enough, they arrested some of them and sent them back, obviously. But for the people that they let in, they gave them like a presidential convoy of like army, police and everything and sirens, and they supported them. Then they got to Eastern Libya, which is I think Haftar or whatever his name is. Don't know who that is. But he's sieged them, blocked food and water from getting to them, arrested them. They was messaging me as it was happening, saying like, guys, you go ahead without us. It's looking like we're not going to make it.
Oh.
And it was mad. And then they just sent them back on their way. So they only got as far as Eastern Libya.
Yeah.
But alhamdulillah, we made it to Egypt. And yeah, we'll get into that.
So the UAE backed Haftar, essentially stopped them. Yeah, and UAE backed Haftar, and obviously in Egypt, Sisi was helped by the UAE and Saudi Arabia in terms of the coup that ousted Morsi. So it's all this. Also the same. نفس الشلة.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that the North African branch, which was, it was a sizable amount of people, right? So a few thousand.
I think more than the Egypt lot.
Okay, they were stopped. Was that before June the 12th?
That was before
you even left for
that
Cairo.
was before the 12th.
All right, so it's before you even left for Cairo, but
whilst we was in Cairo.
Oh, you were in Cairo.
They was in getting by Haftar because they had so many complications. They were supposed to make it for the 12th, but they was having complications at each border anyway.
Oh, I see.
You see?
All right. So you made it to Cairo.
Yeah.
How were things in the airport?
I'm used to being questioned at airports.
Okay.
And I'm used to being kind of looked at airports.
You got that look?
Yeah, I got that look, and also I got that name, and also, yeah, in general, it's just I'm around a lot as well. My job takes me around the world, alhamdulillah. So I'm used to this. Do you know what I'm saying? So one thing that I know at borders is that it's all in the hands of Allah. Firstly, secondly, I'm not here to do anything wrong. I know that, so I got nothing to be scared of. Obviously, in this situation, according to the government, I was there to do something wrong. So, yeah, I just go up to the immigration and whatever questions they got, I'm very open about it. I've got nothing to hide. I'm an open book. So I was just chill about it. And I landed in Sphinx, not Cairo, which is a reason why I didn't get stopped or questioned, basically flying colors. I went right through because I landed in Sphinx. So Sphinx is in Cairo, but they I think they had the red alerts in Cairo for the 11th and the 12th of June that a lot of Europeans and Americans are coming over for this global march to Gaza. So I've landed where? In Sphinx. So when I've landed in Sphinx, security's down, they don't really care. There was so much people from the march on my plane, and I could recognize them one by one just by their red faces. They all look so scared because of obviously the borders and stuff, and how happy they were when they got through. And you could just and how much good people they just look like good people. I could tell a pro-Palestinian or a pro-Israeli straight away. I'm sure you can relate. So, yeah, flying colours, alhamdulillah. Just stamp me, put me through, no questions. We doing it, tourism, siyaha. My friend was there to pick me up.
Yeah. What was it like to kind of meet the other activists?
Wallahi, Faris, where do I start, akhi? Wallahi, where do I start? You know, I've kind of I'm trying to make this episode less about opinions and more about just telling the story. But honestly, you know, when you look at the activists for Palestine, the majority of them are non-Muslims right now. Majority of them, 80% of the people on this march, 80% of them were non-Muslims. When you look at the protests, the marches, the majority are non-Muslims. When you look at just everything, the way Ireland solidarity, Spain, so I don't know, and then you see, you know, the Muslims could be doing more, and who am I to speak? Obviously, I'm not judging or anything. I'm just giving what I see, right? So
it was heartwarming and disheartening at the same time.
Very heartwarming. It's very heartwarming and very like humanity is alive, very very much alive. These are mothers, fathers, aunties, uncles, teachers, train drivers, just normal citizens who are angered and upset by what they see happening to other humans, and they're willing to put it all on the line for them. It's very heartwarming, and yeah, it's a sign to us that, you know, maybe we shouldn't Maybe we could do more.
So tell us about what happened in Cairo for you guys, how you met with the other activists and what you did in Cairo and then moving outside of Cairo.
Okay, so as I said, I've signed up. They've accepted within 24 hours, booked my flights, and then I was going alone at that point. I've got the news that somebody else is going to be there, my friend. So I've landed in Cairo now, and we haven't all met, actually. So there was this Signal group chat. It was a secret group chat, only for the people who've been vetted and accepted and basically sent their flights that they've booked and everything. And it was supposed to be secret, but obviously there's probably a lot of infiltrators inside it. Nevertheless, we've reached Cairo now, so everybody's got their own hotels within a specific area. So there was 3 main hotels that we were supposed to be at. I think one of them was Medina, Lotus. Yeah, and he was in a specific area, and the plan was to land on the Thursday or the Wednesday or whenever you want. But Friday, we'd meet at the rendezvous point. And from the rendezvous point, that's where we all meet, get in the buses together and drive down to Arish. From Arish, we walk for 4 days, 48 kilometers, 11 kilometers every day, and then one day the extra 4 kilometers to reach the Rafah border and basically camp there for a number of days to basically demand that we open the border. So I didn't end up, we didn't meet on the first day, actually. I've just met my friend. The next day is when we've all met, and that's the video that everybody saw. That's when we all met at the borders where they've stopped us.
So you didn't meet in Cairo?
No.
Okay. You met in, what's that area called again?
Ismailiyah. That's where we actually all met.
And that's outside Cairo?
That is outside Cairo. Yeah.
All right. And that's where all the videos came. And unfortunately, at the time, Israel started bombing Iran. So on the one hand, you had more atrocities from the Israelis, and on the other hand, the situation in Egypt did not get the coverage it should have got.
Yeah.
But there was a lot going on, and we saw so many videos. So why don't you just take us through basically a rundown of what happened when you got to Ismailia?
Okay, I could tell you my perspective, inshallah. So as I said, I've landed on the Thursday, and but the following day, the Friday, which was the day we were supposed to start the march. We've gone to the masjid and we've prayed Jum'ah prayer, Friday prayer. It was the best prayer I've ever prayed. Honestly, it was a very nice masjid, very nice qari, very nice. And then we've shot off to the rendezvous point now to meet up with the rest of the activists. However, we was running a bit late to meet the rest of the activists at the rendezvous point. So at that point, they've kind of just went. Now, we had our own car, me and my friend. So that allowed us to kind of be away from the group because they was all in buses. So it was very easy for the police to pick them up and basically do whatever. But so for us, we was able to like kind of, get through. So they've gone about their own way, and I've messaged the main sister who's the organizer telling her, look, we're late. So we're just going to meet you at the second rendezvous point because we were supposed to meet at the first rendezvous point to drive down to the second point, which would have been towards Arish basically. So I said, look, we're just going to make our way there. I'll meet you there. And she's not replying for about 2 hours, an hour and a half. And I just keep spamming her, like, what's wrong with you? I'm thinking, like, have they just left me or something? So I'm thinking, nevertheless, we'll find them. And then it became clear to me what happened to them when we got to the first checkpoint. We looked and we saw buses parked on the side of the road, opened up, bags everywhere, and people everywhere. It was a dystopian scene. In the Egypt heat, just police all around them, and that was Nelson Mandela's grandson and the South Africans, the first checkpoint, about 500 of them. Those people got beaten up, arrested and deported straight away.
Wow.
They didn't play any games with them. I think Nelson Mandela's grandson stayed, but for the most part, we received the news later on that they were beaten up, arrested and deported straight away. So I just caught a glimpse of them driving past, basically, in a very difficult situation with the police. At which point, about 5 minutes later, because the checkpoints are close to each other, I've got to the second checkpoint, and there was about triple the number of people going through a very similar situation. Buses parked on the side of the road, so much of them, and just police. And at that point, they've kind of just took out their flags, cats out the bag. So everybody was very secretive about this thing. But once they've been stopped and they've just cats out the bag, so they've just brought out the flags and just sat down and started saying free Palestine and basically protesting as we do here in the UK and the rest of the world. So, alhamdulillah, we've got past that checkpoint too. Why? Because there's two of us in a car. The authorities think they've got everybody now. And then we've got to the third checkpoint. Qadarullah, by the will of God, I've got this t-shirt on. So they've got their radars on already, the police, that Westerners and North Africans are coming for this global march to Gaza to get to Rafah. And they've seen two British people now. They're stopping every car. Where you from? And my friend barely speaks Arabic, so when he's speaking to them, he realized he's an ajnabi, he's a foreigner, and he said, all right, cool, where you from? British. Pull up over there. He's seen a t-shirt, Palestine. He's added it up. He's taken our passports, kept us sitting there for about 45 minutes, and we're just playing it innocent. We keep going up to the window like, where's our passports? But at that point, there was about 10 other Libyans that they've stopped as well. Don't know how they've got there. And there was about 12 passports. And everybody's just standing there, just waiting. And they're just like, yeah, just smoking cigarettes, just sitting at the window like, yeah, we're doing checks, you know? And yeah, at that point, there's nothing really you can do other than wait, as we did. And then eventually, they took our passports, around 20 passports, and gave it to another police officer and said, go there, your passports are there. So there was a swarm of us literally walking now to get our passports. And then we're there. I've got a video of it, actually. I'll send you all the videos, inshallah, of us basically around this police car, just like, give us our passports. And he's just there, just chilling. And he's like waiting for orders from above, I think. At which point, he's got in his car and he said, okay, follow us. And he's just driven off with our passports in some old, brucked up car with like some black smoke coming out there, in the police car, coming out the exhaust pipe. So we've got in our car, we followed him. He's taken us back to the second checkpoint, where the majority of the people were.
That's Ismailia.
That's Ismailia. So not the first checkpoint. That was the South African delegation. As I said, they were beaten up, arrested and deported. This is the second checkpoint where I said the majority of the people were, and they was doing, it was like a protest basically. And then at that point, the police officer came out with about 40 or 50 passports. They've combined all of the passports that they've confiscated, and they've just given it to one person, and they've just let that, a civilian, and they've just let that civilian basically hand all the passports back to the people.
Just a very
random guy, just one of us. And he was just standing there like Abu Muhammad, Omar, and they're just reading out the names. It was a very unprofessional experience, akhi. But yeah, at that point, we've got the passports back, and then we said, okay, cool, we're here now. You know, cat's out the bag. They know we're trying to get to Rafah and Gaza, so we might as well join the rest of the crew. So we've joined the rest of the crew now. So first things first, we got the cameras out. We're just taking our footage, pictures, whatever, just having a look around, you know, seeing whatever. And we're seeing every country has got a delegation. There's so many countries, so many flags, so many different people from so many places in the world. It was a very powerful, surreal scene. It was like a Netflix series, wallahi. And it's going to get more Netflixy now when I tell you. It was so powerful. The people there were amazing. Honestly, amazing people. So, yeah, we're just having a look around, people shouting, whatever, you know, basically demanding that you let us through. And there was Ireland, Spain. There's 52 countries. I'm not going to list them, but yeah, you could see on the post how many that was, roughly the countries that were there. So we've all just protest for about an hour, and the police keep surrounding us more and more and more at that point. You see what I'm saying? So they keep sieging us more and more, and we keep getting reports from the people that apparently they're going to attack us. Apparently they're going to attack. Apparently they're going to use force. Apparently. And we're just hearing this, you know. And احنا صامدين, we're there. We're not getting agitated or intimidated by any.
Do you think the police were spreading that around to agitate you guys?
I think
Make
so.
you panic?
I definitely think so. Yeah, because then where would we even be getting that news from? It's definitely from them. It was just us and the police. There's nobody else. And there was civilians there that were kind of supporting us, but they were scared to support us. They were very scared to support us because there was a rumor put out before we landed about this qafila, which means convoy, that's coming from North Africa and from Europe and America. And the rumor that was put out is that we are Israeli paid spies who were paid to go to Egypt to basically go to Rafah, to force our way into Gaza, to get shot at by the Israelis, to start war with the Egyptians so Egypt can get destroyed. So whoever came up with that one, يعني Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
Al-akhir he. And guess what? The Sha'ab ate it up. The people actually believed it, I
Wow.
think. So even when somebody wants to support you, because I think eventually people realized, oh, these people are just guys who love Gaza and the Gazans. They're not Israeli spies. They'll roll down their window and they just whisper to you like, are you with the convoy? And you'd say, yeah, I'm with the convoy. And then just like, Tahiyya Palestine, long live Palestine. And then he'd just drive off like very scared. The people are very, very scared, which we can get into later on some realizations that I made about Egypt and the people and the government. I hope they don't ban me from Egypt because I do like the place. But I have a responsibility to say what I think I've seen over there. So at which point we've all, the rumors are coming, they're about to use force and stuff. We're all there now. Okay, Faris? And we've, there was like couple guys at the front, French, Spanish, English, and there's about 1,000 people just surrounding them. And they're speaking in a loud voice. No microphone, no loud nothing like that. Just voice. It was very powerful. And they're basically saying, look, we have to make a decision. We have 3 options. Either number 1, we go back to the first checkpoint where the South Africans are and Nelson Mandela's grandson and the South Africans, and we join them and we protest there and demand that they open the way for us to get to Rafah. Second option is that we camp here until they open the border and let us through to Rafah. Third option is that we go back to Cairo, get on our Signal group chats and decide whether we how we're going to come back tomorrow. So they said, everybody go back to your delegations and you have 30. I remember I shouted at which point, I was like, we need the Gazans to hear us. And then somebody from the crowd agreed, some girl, I don't know where she was from. She was like, yeah, we need the Gazans to hear us. And somebody else was like, we're not going back. It was like democracy at its finest. Yani, we formed a technocratic state in 2 minutes, but definitely better than the parliament, It was a very, very nice experience. It was very powerful. And at that point, everybody's gone back to their delegations and everybody's discussing what we should do. I remember looking around at that point. I've got a video about it as well. I've taken a video. I took a video at that point. It was a very powerful scene. People from different countries all making a collective decision on what we're going to do. People that have come from all over the world for the people of Gaza, working together, not giving up. And it was a very powerful scene. But it only got more powerful as it went on. So we re-met after that. We crowded up again after, and the main organizer was Saif from Tunis. That's his name, Saif, and he was basically speaking again. And we've kind of all decided that, look, we're gonna stay here, we're gonna camp here, as long as it takes for them to open the border and let us through. Our demands are not that major. Our demands are only that the people of Gaza hear us. Our demands are only that the people of Gaza know we stand with them. Our demands are only that you let bread and water to a starving population of 2 million people who don't deserve what's going on, civilians, right? So we said, all right, we're going to camp. We're going to wait, inshallah. At which point, Maghrib's come in. And this was a nice scene as well. Maghrib is obviously the sunset prayer. To those who don't know, in Muslims pray 5 times a day. And between us there was some shuyukh, which is basically people of a certain level of knowledge. Scholars, exactly. So there was some scholars between us and some religiously devout people from Kurdistan and Turkey. May Allah bless them. So when Maghrib's come in, we've all kind of left to go pray. And a very beautiful scene was actually the police had us sieged at that point. They had us absolutely surrounded. When we left to pray, the police opened the way and they didn't bother us at all. They didn't speak to any of us. They just let us through. And I found that beautiful. And they have a very high respect to religion in Egypt. There's a very high respect to religion, not only even just to Muslims. Like I saw Christian towns out there, very built up. And Jews have always been respected in the Arab world, as you know. But yeah, they let us through. We went to the masjid, at which point we prayed Maghrib. We prayed Isha as well, because we was Musafirin. Surah Al-Isra, which is a chapter from the Quran. The guy who is led with Surah Al-Isra, which is a chapter in the Quran, specifically about, a lot of people say, the situation that's unfolding before our eyes. Palestine, Masjid Al-Aqsa, our holy mosque, Bani Israel, which is what the Zionists are doing now. Very powerful prayer. And so at that point, spirituality just shot through the roof for everybody there. And we just said, yeah, we're going back and let's do this. Like, so we went back charged. And our intention was never to bother the Egyptian government. Definitely not to bother the Egyptian people. Definitely not to bother the police or the army. There's nothing to do with Egypt. We don't care about Egypt. That is not why we was there. We care about Palestine and the Palestinians. That's why we was there. So our intention was never to fight with the police, to fight with the army. That's not our business. So we've gone back charged up, yeah, for the people of Palestine. So we've gone back now, and the sun's setting, and the crowd, the atmosphere of the crowd is hyping up and building up by the second, by the minute. Just, the people are really getting excited, and that's where you've seen the video of the Welshman crying in front of the police. Those same police officers, I've got videos. I spoke to them for hours. Those same police officers. And if you focus on the video of that Welshman, if you could put it on the screen, the police officers, they don't want to be there. They don't want to be in between us and the Gazans. And, well, at least that's how they look, and at least that's what they were saying. They're forced to. And I'll get into that, right? And I'm not defending anybody because it's times like this where you should be courageous and not just be a cuck, right?
It's one word for it.
Is that a swear word?
No, it's not.
Okay. Well, yeah, don't be that then, innit? Don't be a coward. It's times like this. If not now, then when? When? If you're not going to show your bravery now, when there's 2 years of a live stream genocide to a population of 2.2 million people in a place so small that have been sieged for 20 years, that are also being bombed with the worst bombs that we have ever seen in modern warfare. The worst bombs. Illegal bombs, and so if not now, when are you going to show your courage? But there is another side to the coin, that those people are forced. It's not cruelty. It's not strictly cruelty. It's cowardice, definitely. But there is another side to the story, which I would get into. So that's the time you saw the video of the Welshman crying, basically, with the police. And the atmosphere at that point was really hyping up. Now we started to get reports that the police are going to attack. And they kept basically lining up army soldiers around us now. And they was doing like this army walk and saluting, and I don't know who they're showing off their power to. Like,
They're doing a little parade for you guys.
Literally little show for us, circus act. It was so funny. Using their force in the wrong place, clearly. But so they're doing all this, and we're getting reports. Okay, cool, it's really about to happen. At which point I've got a phone call saying, look, film it. We need footage of what's happening. I think this is before Israel struck Iran. It was literally the same time we was there that Israel struck Iran. Yeah. The same time. So this is before somebody's called me and said, look, we need coverage of what's happening. I said, I don't know. It's not really. And he said, look, just get coverage. We need coverage. I said, okay, cool. I'm going to get coverage. At which point I said, they kept switching off the lights as well. So we was there and everything, and they kept switching off the lights, and they was building up and doing all of this. So they was really trying to intimidate us. But they had something else up their sleeve, which we'd get to, which was very, very cheap of them, to be honest, and very, slimy. I don't know what the word is. So they kept switching off the lights, basically getting ready to attack us. At which point, I've said it would be a good idea for a video. I don't want to just send footage. I want to make a video that when the Gazans see it, they know we're here for you, and we're marching for you, and we're trying for you. Number one, and no matter what, yani, it's not enough. There's nothing you can do enough for the Gazans, but at least I want them just to see that. At least we're here doing this, right?
Trying.
At least we're trying. And this, I wanted a video that kind of speaks for everybody. That's another thing as well. I didn't want a random video. And I wanted a video that, you know, it makes sense for everybody, right? So I said, if we get one spokesperson from each delegation, as much delegations as we can, to give a speech, that would be very powerful. So it's like each country, so it's like the whole world saying, like, open the borders to Gaza. At which point I got that idea. So I was literally going around to each delegation, to the French, to the Spanish, finding anybody who speaks English and just saying, look, find me a good spokesperson from your delegation, from your country. They can speak in their language or English. Come over there to the corner, quickly bring a flag and speak to the camera and say, why are you here? Why is your delegation here? Within about 10 or 15 minutes, we had about 12 countries lined up, or 13 countries. We had the flags and we done the video. As soon as that video finished, at that point, they've paid some local Bedouins, which is basically Arabs that stay in the desert, some Baltajis they call it in Egypt, which are very poor people, to basically come and start attacking us. Because if the police attack us, then you know what would happen. There'd be headline news everywhere, and you know they're attacking the Brits and the Americans and big old evil Egypt, right? So they came up with a plan of paying the Baltajis, the Bedouins, to come and attack us, to give the police an excuse, in my opinion, to finally attack us and begin arresting us and deporting us. Because the cameras are all out, so you couldn't just no, you need an excuse. So these Baltajis, these guys, they're already under the impression that we're Israeli spies paid to come and destroy Egypt and feed and benefit Israel's agenda of a greater Israel. And they've come and they're getting paid now, so they're just throwing bottles at us and just attacking us. At which point, we're not falling for it. There was obviously the fair share of us that was just like not having it and throwing it back and stuff. It was it was like a feud fight. I don't want to say it was too much of a serious situation, but
We saw some videos. I mean, there was different reports about what was going on. Some people were saying plainclothes officers, some people saying other things. But I think there was like one video that really went viral, which is they were pulling on one activist. Is that when that happened?
that's the same situation. The exact same situation. Some of them were plainclothes as well, but the ones doing the attacking were Baltajis. They usually dress in Saudi clothing. They're very skinny. They look very poor. You could tell them apart from a plainclothes officer. So, yeah, there was that video of them pulling, and I saw some way worse stuff. But at that point, it was just a bit of a feud fight. I was just throwing a bunch of bottles at each other, and the police was just waiting for an excuse to basically attack us. But because the adrenaline's so high on both ends, it's very out of control, and it's very heading on to a very serious situation. At which point, we've decided to go to the front of the crowd, our crowd, and calm our crowd down and let them know, look, we're not going to fall into their trap. They want us to attack them, to have an excuse to attack us. We want to stay here. So we don't want to give them an excuse, because we have a mission that we want to get to Gaza. So let's calm the crowd down, which we did calm the crowd down. And then those guys had nothing that they could do now, because the crowd's calm and the crowd's just chanting now, no longer throwing things back. So if you attack now, then, you know, clearly you're in the wrong and all the cameras are up. Number one. And number two, also, we kind of huddled up a bit more. We was a bit more formulated and whatever. So we was more of a physical threat as well, in a sense, right? So we was more secure in that sense as well to these Baltajis. And they kept increasing in number at that point. So it calmed down. They kept increasing the number, and every now and then, like one guy came from behind me and tried to grab me, and like I just kind of flung him like that, and he just flew. But in a nutshell, they kept basically increasing in number, more and more of them, and that's when you saw the video of him pulling him. They was throwing bottles, attacking people, and yeah, at that point it was kind of like we're not gonna get through because it's got so out of hand. There was like at one point there was like hundreds of those baltajis. There was so much of them. They was coming like swarms in buses. Definitely paid by the government. Like they was coming in buses, just jumping out in 10s and 20s, back to back from the other side of the border. So at that point we said, okay, cool. It's just looking like we're not gonna get through, but we're not gonna leave. Nevertheless, we're not leaving. We're not giving up. And I remember the rhetoric between us was, we didn't come all this way for this. We have to. I'm never gonna. I remember one guy said, "I'm never gonna forgive myself if I don't make it to Gaza." So the rhetoric was, it's either we use force, which is not gonna get us anywhere, or, you know, we get shot at or arrested to get through. And you wouldn't even get to Rafah, like we're like 500 miles away. So you know, reality started to sink in that maybe we're not going to be able to get to our beloved Gazans, right? So yeah, time went on. Protests, videos, pictures, just trying, just trying. At which point, I've started speaking to the police officer now, and I've said to him, like, because Egyptians, from what I know, currently the Palestinian cause is very much a humanitarian cause. It's a humanitarian cause. The whole world is بحاجة Gaza. Like the whole world is pained by what they see in Gaza and wants to change it. But it's also a religious cause, It's Islamic religious cause. So it's something that we're all raised upon as Muslims. Palestine, Masjid al-Aqsa, it's our land. The massacres, what was that cartoon you said? We can get into that after.
Which cartoon? Muhammad al-Durra.
When you were young, you said the cartoon that gave you.
Yeah, Muhammad al-Durra, about Muhammad al-Durra.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one of them as well, about Musa alayhi salam.
Okay.
Anyways, so I was like, because these guys are Muslims.
It's a cause for Muslims.
It's a Muslim cause. So, and these guys are Muslims. I'm seeing Muslims. So I'm thinking in my head, there's no way that they are, and they don't look happy to be there. They don't look happy at all. So I'm speaking to him and I'm like to him, why don't you let us go to Gaza? He says, we get orders from above. We have to follow them. I said, of course. But how do you feel about this? He said, do you think we even want to be in this uniform? Do you think we even want to be in this army? In Egypt, there's a law that if you have two boys, one of them has to serve in the army for 2 years. If he doesn't serve in the army for 2 years, he goes to prison. Whilst he's serving in the army for 2 years, he has to shave off his beard. He has to be clean shaven. He's not allowed to grow a beard. If he doesn't follow orders whilst he is in the army, he goes to prison. It's very much a military state. So he's saying my hands are absolutely tied. And that's why I believe what he's saying. When you look at the video of the people who was trying to get into Cairo to the global march to Gaza, who got sent back from the flight, the same officer who sent them back, a video went viral of him after. I'm not sure if you can find it and put it on, of him crying his eyes out in the bus afterwards, bawling his eyes out. Why is that? Probably because he's thinking, I'm the bad guy now. This cause that I've been raised upon to help my Palestinian brothers and sisters, that I should, essentially give my life for them, right? And that, whatever. Now I'm basically between them and the genocidal maniacs.
So from your experience, the Egyptians that were standing in your way were either misinformed about what you were doing there and they were paid, or they didn't want to be there. They were forced to be there by people higher up, etc.
I think that it's a collective of different things from what I saw in Egypt. And this is me being a bit of a philosophist, so I'm not sure how accurate this is, but I think it's down to many different things. Obviously, it's down to the main reason that it's a military state. Look at the way Sisi gained his power. It's the first thing, right? It was a military coup, and he killed the elected president at the time. May Allah have mercy on his soul. The great President Morsi, who the people loved and love. And also, it's very much a military state. That's the first thing. They say, there's a saying that if you want someone to go missing, send them Egypt. There is that saying. So imagine with their own people. I saw some things out there, and those are with Europeans. Like, I saw people be sexually assaulted in front of my eyes, between the crowd, by the police. I saw people be assaulted very badly. I saw them treated in such a way. People pulled by their hair till blood was coming out. So imagine their own people, right? That's one thing. Very much a military state. The people love Palestine. The people love the Palestinians. And the people really would wish to do something. Just like me, just like you. They just can't. They can't. Well, they can. Of course they can. If they
believe they can't.
If they believe they can.
Their fear. They're afraid. They're paralyzed by their fear.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, they just need a bit of courage. A bit of, not courage, a bit of just, I don't know.
It's tricky because we're not in that situation.
Yeah.
So it's tricky for us to talk about it, but it is difficult for us to see how many people there are in these countries and their supposed love for Palestine and their supposed pain over what's happening to the Palestinians. And at the same time, they refuse to move. But like I said, we're not in their position.
Yes, accurately. We're not in their position. So that's why I do tread carefully when I do speak about them, you know. And I don't think it's a healthy mindset anyway to be running around, you know, saying that guy's a coward and that guy's a maniac, unless you're speaking about Israelis. So, right? So, at which point I think it's, yeah, military state, that's one thing. Second thing is they're scared for their country as well, because they did have a uprising in 2012, 2013, and people are telling me that the country was very unstable at the time. There was a lot of looting, killing, tribal wars. Just a lot of things were going on, and now they see that the economy is getting better. They don't want to get in the way of that, which is so selfish. But it's another reason. Another reason is, you know, these Arab countries, is one thing I've realized that, sorry, pardon me, the population is so starved and so deprived of life experience, and so they're forced to into this little small thinking mindset. It's so sad, because I remember speaking to the officer, which I'll get into later, that detained us. I spoke to him for about 2 hours. But in general, when you look at these countries, they have sun, they have history, they have great values, because Islam promotes great values. They have everything that's needed for a country to thrive. So much. Everything. Tourism above through the roof. Everything. But obviously it's these regimes that's on top of them, which is the reason why they're like that. So now you find the people, they're so naive. The people are looking at the West, and it's true, yeah. You know, the American dream is not true, but there is more opportunities in America than in Britain. And there is more opportunities in Britain than Spain. And there's more opportunities in Spain than Egypt. You see, so yes, there are more opportunities elsewhere than there is in other places. But they've got this fixated thing in their brains, these Arabs that we got back home. And I'm sure you have cousins and you know how it is. The second you go back home, how's Britannia and whatever. But it's like, that their life belongs out there, and that they can't achieve their full potential. They can't unlock their full potential unless they go over there, which is why you see thousands of people dying coming from North Africa on boats, haraga, because they are fixated, which is true, yeah. But we need to ask ourselves as Arabs, why on earth do we not have? Why are we not? You know, why don't we have it where we're from? Why are our economies so hurt by it? And obviously the reason is the regimes. And we can get deeper down the rabbit hole, but I don't want to do that.
It's a long twisted tale, and
Definitely don't want to do that.
let's refocus on your experience. You said you were detained, and you spoke to the officer for 2 hours. So how did they detain you, first of all, and then what was that conversation like?
So the Ismailiyya, as I said, Baltajis. Long story short, at that point, that was the second day I got detained. This is the first day. Long story short, at that point, we've people are getting beaten up, people are getting arrested. I saw somebody put his I saw somebody put his thing where the sun don't like his you know, I saw people be sexually assaulted in front of my eyes. I saw people be thrown around, beaten up, knees on necks, knees on chests. I saw a lot. At which point they was basically grabbing people and forcefully throwing them into buses, sending them back to Cairo. And they've taken pictures of everybody's passports, so if they tried to come back the next day, they wouldn't be able to. So at that point, we're kind of just there, just watching all of this happen, unfold, and you know, kind of just going through it. You know, this guy's pushing you, this guy's telling you go, and this whatever. And I'm just speaking to the policeman, and as I've told you what that guy said, what they said. I was just like, all right, that's you, bro. Fair. You know, you're in a difficult situation. Can't say I relate. And then we waited for the last of the crowd to leave, and we stayed as long as we could, and we ended up going back to Cairo as well. At which point we've bumped into a now very close friend of mine, SQ, who is a New York da'i. He's an influencer, and also my brother Ilyas, which are two New Yorkers. And because they landed late, they couldn't make it to the checkpoint. They blocked off the checkpoint at that point. So they were very eager to make it to Gaza. We've just got back from the borders. We knew that there's no hope of getting to Gaza. We've seen it on the ground. It's impossible. There's no way. Especially the fact that they've taken pictures of our passports. But because these guys were so eager and adamant to make it, and because they haven't seen what we've seen, they was like, no, we're going. And we had a car. So we wasn't going to be the people to tell them, you can't go. So we said, okay, we'll come with you guys. We'll take you guys tomorrow. So the next day comes, and we go to the mosque, and we pray our Dhuhr and Asr, and then we pray our Istikhara. And signs are looking good. Okay, let's go. Bismillah. We hit the roads, go through the first checkpoint, flying colours. Get to the second checkpoint, which is the same checkpoint that they sent us, the furthest we got, basically the day before. At which point, they've asked for our passports, and we've said we don't have our passports. But the American guy, we said we leave our passports in the safe. That's how we do it. But the American guy said, here you go, here, take my passport. They've seen us, they've looked at his passport, and they said, all right, cool. Go in your car, do a U-turn, come back, take your passport, go back to Cairo, come back tomorrow. There's danger on that side. You're not allowed to go there. We said, what's the danger? He said, there's danger. We can't tell you. We said, all right, cool. We've gone back to the car with the honest intention of doing a U-turn. Okay, we tried. We couldn't. And taking our passport and going back. So, in a nutshell, we've got to the checkpoint. Funnily enough, at this checkpoint, the man, we've asked him, how do we do a U-turn? He said, go past the barrier and go there and do a U-turn. So he's opened the barrier for us. But we've driven past, and we're genuinely, honestly trying to find where to do a U-turn. And then we've kind of just kept going straight.
Oh, no.
And we didn't do a U-turn. And then at that point, these guys were just like, SQ was like, yeah, leave my passport, dude. Like, bad accent. Just keep going. We're going Gaza. I want to go to Gaza. At that point, I was there, and God's my witness. I was like, who am I with right now? What's wrong with these guys? Like, are they really all there right now? And they was like, no, we're going. And I said, you even see it on the video. He posted a video about it. I was like, I'm not going to be the one to send us back. And then his friend was like, I'm sure as hell not gonna be the one that sent us back. I was like, all right, cool, we're going Gaza. And we found the route after that checkpoint, that was directly to Rafah, to Gaza, with no checkpoints. We said, subhanallah, this is a blessing from God. We're gonna get to Gaza. So we're getting closer now and closer and closer, and we're just enjoying the ride. And we got so far in, and we're just like, we can't believe it. Like, wow, we're really doing it. We're really getting closer. How did this happen? We stopped off. We got some petrol, whatever, freshened up in the petrol station, and then we went to the local mosque in an area called Bur Said, which is called Port Said in English. And we prayed our prayers, and we prayed istikhara again. And we said, okay, do we carry on or not? And then we had a short gathering in the mosque, 4 of us. And I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala purifies our intentions, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts from us. And these are the types of conversations that you would rather leave between you and your Lord. And these are the types of conversations that you would rather leave between you and your Lord until the day of judgment, where that's the day you see these conversations. This conversation was so honest and pure and sincere. May Allah accept from us. So we started to speak to each other. And we said, what are we doing? We're going to get to Gaza now. There's no checkpoints on the way. It's real. So what's the intentions? And we're through the roof right now. Adrenaline high from the day before. These Americans have just landed. Somehow got us 114 miles from Gaza. We're like, yeah, we're God's chosen people right now. Like, wow. So we're just saying, look, if we get to Rafah, first thing we're going to do, first intention is to reveal that the borders are closed. Because a lot of these CC supporters say the borders are open, the borders are open. So we're saying, okay, we're going to show the borders are closed. Second thing is, we are going to try our hardest to get into Gaza, if we can. Because, we want to help on the ground and see what we can do. And the intention was, honestly, if we can break the siege and get into Gaza, what's your excuse? Because the intention is to break the siege, right? So we said, if we can get into Gaza and just let the world know, look, 2 Brits and 2 Americans have come and made it through the border. And obviously, as you know, in Egypt, in the Rafah border, you could probably pay your way into Gaza. So my friend had like $5,000 in British pounds on him, and that would change someone's life in Egypt. So he said, okay, the intention is to get into Gaza, do this video with, hopefully we can be the catalyst of persuading the people to get up off their beds and coming to the border and breaking the siege on our brothers and sisters that are starving to death. So we said, okay, cool, we're gonna try our hardest to get in. And then we've gone now. We've kept going, and it was so spiritual. It was so surreal. It was like, yeah, it was a very nice experience. So Faris, at this point, we've reached to Bur Said, and we've said, okay, cool. After we've prayed, let's stop off and have some dinner. So we ordered some chicken and chips and stuff, and we just spoke about our deepest and darkest secrets, and it was the most beautiful conversation ever. Such a beautiful experience, because in our eyes, we're saying, look, we're going to die for the greater good. We're going to die if us 4 have to die for 2 million people to not starve to death, and for us to maybe contribute to stopping the war. So that's the mood we're in. So at that point, one of us has told us his deepest secret he's never told anybody, and we've all just had the best dinner ever. It was so nice. May Allah bless the brothers. And we've got back in the car. We've said, okay, cool. The plan is to go closer, find a hotel, pray Salah, pray our morning prayer, Fajr, and then after we go, because of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that the barakah of my ummah is in the early hours of the morning. So this is the opinion we've come with together, the Shara'i decision, Yani mashallah, we became shuyukh naras, ulama. And then unfortunately, on our way to the hotel, there was a random checkpoint. Qadarullah, random checkpoint. At which point, he stopped us and he said, passports. And we said, we leave our passports in the safe. That's how we do it. And they've obviously put the word out that there's 2 Brits and 2 Americans who are trying to go Gaza, and one of them's left their passport to get these maniacs back to Cairo. And he said, pull over on the side. And then they've surrounded us with AKs, and we've sat down for about 2 hours. And when I look at the Egyptians, as much as they are the thing that's between, we just had a conversation. We had a heart to heart. We waited for hours, 2 hours, 3 hours. They had us in a room, and then after that, they kind of calmed down. They was more scared of us than we were scared of them. He hinted at me. He said that I was an Israeli spy. I said, me, Israeli? You crazy? And then he calmed down after, when he realized like these guys are just some chill guys. They've taken the guns off us and whatever, and then the cars come over and they've put us in the back of the van, and they've driven our car behind the van, and they've taken us to a place called Al-Amn Al-Watani Taba Bursaid. I didn't know how serious these guys were until I posted the picture online, and my Egyptian friend messaged me and said, what on earth are you doing with them? So we've ended up in there. We've gone in there and we've started to read Quran straight away. And we've made a plan on the way there. We designated an emir between us, a leader in the van. And we said, our demands are simple. Either you let us through, or you send us back to Cairo, or you let us go back to our apartments to get the passport so we can come back. Because at that point, we don't want to get deported and arrested and whatever. So we're just kind of trying to see if we have to wiggle our way out. And that's the 3 things we decided on. We've gone into the waiting room now. At which point the man's walked in and he's just, he said, stop reading Quran. Yeah, he's like, stop it.
What?
I was like, what? We started reading again. Yeah, the books were there. And then they walked back in. The whole time, throughout this whole experience, I was acting like I don't know Arabic.
Oh, okay.
So I was acting like I understand Arabic, but I don't speak Arabic. They knew I spoke Arabic, but it's just because I don't want to give and take with them so much. So my friend was the one who was speaking Arabic to them, and he knows a fair share of Arabic. So they've come and they've said, you come with us, to my friend. And we got up and we said, you're not taking him. No. Either all of us or none of us. And then they took him and we just sat back down and realized there's nothing we can do at this point. So, yeah. And then they walked back in about 2 minutes later and they said, take off the Apple Watch. My friend had a Apple Watch on because they must have thought there was a microphone on it or something. He said, no, I don't take it. And we said, okay, we'll take it off if you let us see our friend. All we want to do is just see our friend. And then he said, okay, take it off and we'll let you see your friend. There's about 2 minutes in between it. But because we promised each other that we won't separate. And at that point, this is another thing I realized from this trip. You're only as strong as your weakest link. Because at the start of the trip, I was like, kind of like, these lot are crazy. And then halfway through the trip, I was kind of the crazy one saying, look, guys, if we get into Gaza, it'd be a good thing for the Gazans. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So we said, look, we're not going to basically separate. We need to stay together. So that's what we decided on. And then they took us upstairs and they sat us in this room. And my friend just sat there like this with his feet up. And he came and he was like, put your feet down. And then my friend was like, I am an American citizen.
Oh, no.
I do what I want, whatever. I just had to put your foot down, you know. This is Arabs, we don't sit like that, you know. Just put your foot down. Put our foot down. And then we started demanding that we see our friend or call our embassies now. Because there's a promise on our passport. And I remember I gave a very, very heartfelt speech. I was like, if you don't show me my friend now, by the King's Majesty of King Charles and the state of Donald Trump, you must call our embassies. You will have them to answer to. And they looked so scared at that point, which is another realization I made, that we are worth 2,000 Arabs when it comes to how much we can get away with. That's another thing. We can get away with so much more. We sit here and we say, what are they doing? What are they doing? What are they doing? We can get away with so much more. That's another lesson I took. And then we kept demanding that we see our friend until they came and they said, you come with us, me alone. I said, lads, it's fine, I got this. I went with them. I walk into the room. My friend's sitting on a 5-star sofa in a 5-star living room with the AC on. And he's just chilling, like back crouched, like just chilling, speaking to the boss. I said, what? This is not what I imagined. I thought he was going to be chained up, getting lashed. So I said, all right, cool. I've sat next to him and he's just chilling. They're just having a conversation. And then they've kind of opened the door ajar to leave the room. And I've heard my friends shouting downstairs, "Where's our friends?" So I've said, look, bring them up. They're going to keep shouting. So they brought them up. In a nutshell, I don't need to go into too much detail about that conversation. They've asked us if we're going Gaza. We said no. If we're going Rafah, we said no. We've spoke for a bit. And then they said, all right, cool, guys. Go back to Cairo. Get a stamp to come back here. And you can come back. Obviously, they're not going to give us the stamp. We said, what? Just like that? They said, yeah. They escorted us back to the motorway to make sure we don't lose the U-turn again.
Yeah.
And we went back to Cairo. And when we went back to Cairo, we said, we finally done the U-turn 12 hours later. Do you have our passport by any chance? And yeah, they just done some checks, gave my friend his passport back, and then we went back to Cairo. And that was that. And then I'm not sure if we have time, but we did meet some Gazan families afterwards, which was absolutely life-changing, to the level where, wallahi, nothing has pleasure in it anymore. Everything feels so guilty right now. Every bite you eat, since I've got back, and my friends the same, I haven't been able to eat properly. My voice is gone from speaking non-stop. I haven't been sleeping as much. There's the nights I've slept 2 hours, 3 hours, and then one day I just crash it out for like 15 hours when my body gives up. It's just been back to back, because when you meet the Ghazans, Faris, there's no way I can explain it. It puts it all into perspective. You hear their stories, their resilience that you see online. Everything you see online, it's real. It's exactly how they are, and way more, tenfold. One of the people I met in Gaza, she messaged me today. She was looking for help for her daughter's husband, because his leg's been severed. May Allah be with him. I mean, that he's passed away. Fajr today. She messaged me today. And the message was Alhamdulillah ala kull hal. So she actually asked me for a favor, to see if I have somebody in Gaza that can help him. And I said, look, I've spoken to who I can, and I'm going to see what I can do. At which point she's messaged me today basically saying, look, he's gone, you know. And it's like it's normal. My friend asked them a question. There's about 40 of them. Who of you has lost a family member? I don't think one person didn't raise his hand. In this war, they said. Daughters, sons, but like body burnt from the waist down, fingers gone, cancer, chemotherapy, white phosphorus in the lungs, in the digestive system. And yet you feel so warm around them, so at home around them, so loved. You just feel like you're around the people of paradise, the people of Jannah in the flesh. So when I met them, I remember they was handing out the money to them one by one, at which point I said to somebody, can you please stop handing out the money, because they kept saying thank you when they was receiving the money. And I said to them, can you please stop handing out the money? Guys, you know, I introduced myself. I said, my name's Omar Anas, and we've come to Egypt to do this. But please, guys, I don't know how to speak to you, and I don't even know how to look at you. I struggle to make eye contact with you, because I feel so shameful that we haven't done anything. We haven't done nowhere near enough. We haven't even done anything for you. And you guys have done so much for us. And you guys are saying thank you for taking this piece of money, when we should be saying thank you to you. And we do thank you, and we will always thank you for the sacrifices you have put on the line for us. Everything you're doing is for us. You're on the front line for us. You're doing everything for us. And I absolutely lost it there. I broke down into tears of a toddler, fresh out the womb, like just broke down fully. And then what made me even more emotional was that they straight away they just came up to me and said, no, you're one of us, you're a child, inta ibna, inta Ghazawi, you guys are from Jenin. we know you guys are whatever. They just, and that even made me even more emotional. They're not even, they're just the purest people. So when you see these things in front of you, like the old man that I spoke to, may Allah bless him, may Allah grant him shifa, who has cancer, and it cost $2,000 for him to get chemotherapy, and he hasn't been able to get that $2,000 for the time that he's been there, and he has to travel 300 kilometers once or twice a week to go and get the medication. Because these people who come from out of Gaza, only the very extremely injured and sick are allowed out of Gaza. And even of those, a very extremely small percentage of those people are allowed out. And when they go into Egypt, they're not allowed to work, and they're not allowed to get money, and they're not allowed to take charity money. Everything is from under the table. So I hope I'm not getting anyone in trouble right now. But I think charity money, there's rules, so much rules to it. I think they can take, but for the most part, their hands are so tied. It's very sad. So when I've spoken to him now, just the stories I heard, the mother whose son she had there had breathed in white phosphorus, so his lungs are damaged now. He's a young boy, and his digestive system is also damaged. So these are lifetime damage, and white phosphorus is obviously illegal under international law, whatever that is, international law. And then if I was to recall the stories, we'd need another episode, inshallah.
Yeah, I mean these stories are very powerful. What you mentioned there about how they reacted to you, it's extremely powerful. But unfortunately, on that note, I'm afraid we're gonna have to end today.
Yes,
We've run out of time, but we definitely need to continue, and I hope you can join us again.
Thank you so much, Faris, for having me, and forgive me for the going round in circles and not getting straight to the point. Obviously,
No, thank you for joining us, sharing your story, and we'll definitely like to have you on to complete it.
let's go again, inshallah.
So,
Assalamu alaikum.